Hey, Mike, this is Paul Domowitch. You've made a major offensive shift from a pass-oriented team to a run-oriented team. What went into that decision?
Well, we didn't really go into a run-oriented team. I mean, we want to be balanced is what we want to be.
Okay, well, you're throwing it a lot less and running it a lot more.
Well, we were winning 28-0 in one game and 21-0 in the other game. We didn't need to throw the ball. So take a look at the other games and see what the balance is.
Mike, John McMullen, ESPN, South Jersey. You did add Garrett Kubiak and Rick Dennison. How have those guys helped your offense, and has there been a significant change in scheme in the running game?
Well, they're both very good coaches. They've been very good with really the entire scheme. It's not just a run game, but yeah, we've had a shift in the run game scheme wise. Yes.
Coach Zimmer, Chris McPherson, Philadelphia Eagles. To follow up on Paul's question, how important has it been having a healthy Dalvin Cook to be able to establish the ground game this season?
Well, he's a terrific player. He's got a chance to hit the home run anytime he touches the ball, and so yeah, I mean that's important. He's a really good back, catches the ball well out of the backfield, runs hard, and Madison's a good back as well.
Hey, Mike, Ed Kratz with SI.com. The Eagles have the #1 ranked rush defense. What are some components of that make them so successful at stopping the run, would you say?
Well, I think they're very aggressive with their front. Obviously, they've got some really good players in there, Cox and Graham, and those guys are all active players. They run some games in there. They play some different coverages where they can load the box up and still play in the coverage. And so, and Jenkins is a heck of a player. So I think, all those things combined do a really good job with them. And they're tough to run the ball against, yes.
When you look at film from them from last year, or do you see the same Fletcher Cox this year that you've seen in previous games against them?
Yeah, he's a great player. And, he's always been a great player, very physical, very, very active in both the run and the pass. I feel like, Hassan Ridgeway has helped him in the running game as well, and Barnett. But these guys they're a load up front, and I think that's where it all starts. And then you had Jenkins in there, and he's another guy that's very active. Good on blitzes. He's a good tackler. He's very smart. So, all those combined help all those guys, I think.
Mike, E.J. Smith here. Aside from the run defense, what has stood out to you with the Eagles when you've done your scouting?
Well, they've got 6 interceptions, which I think is big. They're getting the ball turned over, but they're playing very hard. They've like I said, they've changed a little bit coverage-wise in some of the things they're doing. Maybe it's because the corners have been hurt or something. I don't know, or maybe it's just philosophy. But I think that's part of it. And then he'll throw in some zero blitzes and and man pressures. So, and those are things he's done. I mean, maybe a little bit more of the different coverages has changed a little bit from what it has in the past.
Hey, Mike, as a defensive head coach, what have you seen from Carson Wentz and this Eagles offense? And without Deshaun Jackson, they've kind of shifted to more of a 12 personnel team. How does that make them a little bit different?
Well, they lose. If he doesn't play, he's got great speed, so that changes a little bit that way. But Ertz is an unbelievable football player. Catches the ball great, and I think and Wentz looks the same to me. I mean, the way he moves, the way he's hard to tackle, the way he reads the coverages. I think he does a great job. And really, a lot of the things they do, regardless of the personnel, is is similar. So, they've got they're an aggressive offensive unit that, and I think Howard's added another dimension to him.
Coach Zimmer, Mike K, NJ.com. You obviously have a lot of experience with Howard. What makes him so good in between the tackles?
Well, he's good all the time, but he's always going to fall forward. He's got really, really good feet and vision, and he runs with his pads low and forward, and so you might hit him at 8, and he ends up being second and 4.
Mike Rowe called you the godfather of the double-A gap blitz in his press conference yesterday. But it seems like that you're not relying on it as much this year. Is that because of the presence of Griffin and Hunter and what they're able to do off the edges?
The godfather of double-A blitz. Every week's a different week, and we just try to figure out what we can use that particular week. But it's kind of like it's a little bit like the run game. When you're up 28-0, you don't need to double-A gap blitz anybody. So we'll use it when we feel like it's important, and I'll go back to the Godfather book and pick one out, I guess.
Mike, you were talking earlier about Ertz. What has Dallas Goedert brought to that offense when they go to 12 personnel with his ability to both block and catch?
Yeah, he makes it more difficult just because of the fact that you've got two guys in there. What kind of matchups do you want to put in? Do you want to put little guys in there and then they run the football on you and he blocks? And then you still got Ertz blocking too, or running RPOs or whatever they're doing. That part always makes it difficult on what kind of matchups you want to try to get in there. And then, he's always been a very athletic guy. I think he's improved his blocking quite a bit, and so that helps as well.
Hey, Mike, this is Martin Frank, the Delaware News Journal. I wanted to ask you about a local guy, Brian O'Neill. He was kind of thrown into the fire with injuries last season and everything. I was just kind of curious, what you've seen in his development this year. He seems to be, a starter for you guys now and everything. So.
Yeah, really, Brian. He started coming on quite a bit toward the end of last year. When he first got here, he needed to gain some strength and bulk, and I thought as the season wore on, he became more aggressive when he started to understand the pro game a little bit more. He's done a really, really nice job with our run game and in our pass game, and so I feel like he's a guy that has a bright future for us.
Mike, what has the addition of Garrett Bradbury meant to that offensive line for you, and how is he playing?
Yeah, he probably had his best game last week. He's a I think he got thrown in the fire a little bit, the first couple weeks, but now he's a guy that he's really smart. He can really bend. He's athletic. He can get to the second level, and so I think a lot of those things have helped our athleticism in our offensive line.
Hey, Mike, you had Andrew Sendejo for a very long time there. What can you tell us about him as a player? The coaching staff here kind of raves about him. Yeah,
well, Sendejo, I'm sure he's singing like a canary. But, he's a really good kid. He's very, very smart. He's going to go full speed, 100 miles an hour, snap to whistle. I think he understands what his deficiencies are and what his strengths are, and that way he can play to the best of his ability. But he's going to go downhill, and there's going to be some friendly fire in there, but that's just how he plays.
Hey, Mike, you mentioned he's going to sing like a canary. Do you have to be aware of that as a coach, that there's someone on the other sideline who knows your scheme that well?
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, depends on the player, obviously. Some players know the overall scheme a lot better than some of the other players. So, but he knows it as good as anybody. He's very smart, and we'll make adjustments.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.